The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Sean Covey. Habit 1. Be proactive. I am the force. Growing up in my home was at times a big pain. Why? Because my dad always made me take responsibility for everything in my life. Whenever I said something like, "Dad, my girlfriend makes me so mad," without fail, Dad will come back with, "Now come on, Sean. No one can make you mad unless you let them. It's your choice. You choose to be mad." This is a quote. People are just as happy as they make up their mind to be. Abraham Lincoln, U.S. President. Or if I said, "My new biology teacher is the worst. I'm never going to learn a thing," Dad would say, "Why don't you go to your teacher and give him some suggestions? Change teachers. Find a tutor if you have to. If you don't learn biology, Sean, it's your own fault, not your teacher's." He never let me off the hook. He was always challenging me, making sure that I never blamed someone else for the way I acted. Luckily, my mom let me blame other people and things for my problems, or I would have turned out psycho. Often screamed back, "You're wrong, Dad! I didn't choose to be mad. She made me mad. Just get off my back and leave me alone." You see, that idea that you're responsible for your life was hard medicine for me to swallow as a teenager. But with hindsight, I see the wisdom in what he was doing. He wanted me to learn that the reactive people, those who take responsibility for their lives, and those who blame, those who make it happen, and those who get happened to, which is the reactive people. Habit 1, be proactive, is the key to unlocking all the other habits, and that's why it comes first. Habit 1 says, "I am the force. I am the captain of my own life. I can choose my attitude. I'm responsible for my destiny. I'm responsible for my own happiness or unhappiness. I am in the driver's seat of my destiny, not just a passenger." Being proactive is the first step toward achieving the private victory. Can you imagine doing algebra before learning addition and subtraction? Not gonna happen. The same goes for the 7 habits. You can't do habits 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 before doing habits 1. That's because until you feel you're in charge of your life, nothing else is really possible. Now, is it? Proactive or reactive? The choice is yours. Each day, you and I get about 100 chances to choose whether to be proactive or reactive. In any given day, the weather is bad, you get a mean text, you can't find a job, your sister steals your hoodie, you lose an election at school, your friend talks behind your back, someone graffitis your locker, your parents don't let you take the car for no reason, you get a parking ticket, and you flunk a test. So what are you going to do about it? Are you in the habit to reacting to these kinds of everyday things, or are you proactive? The choice is yours. It really is. You don't have to respond the way everyone else does, or everyone else think you should. How many times have you been driving down the road when suddenly somebody cuts in front of you, making you hit the brakes? What do? Scream at them? Swear? Flip the bird? Let it ruin your day? Or do you just let it go? Laugh about it. Move on. The choice is yours. Reactive people make choices based on impulse. They are like a can of soda pop. When life shakes them up a bit, the pressure builds in them, and they suddenly explode. "Hey, you stupid jerk! Get out of my lane!" Proactive people make choices based on values. They think before they act. They recognize what they can't control, everything that happens to them. But they can control what they do about it. Unlike reactive people who are full of carbonation, proactive people are like water. Shake them up all you want, take off the lid, and nothing. No fizzing, no bubbling, no pressure. They stay calm, cool, and in control. I'm not gonna let that guy get upset me and ruin my day. The best way to understand the proactive mindset is to compare proactive and reactive responses to situations that happen all the time. Scene 1. You see pictures on Facebook of your best friend at a party the night she said she was too busy to hang out with you. She doesn't know you saw the photos. Just 5 minutes ago, this same friend was sweet talking right into your face. You feel hurt and betrayed. Reactive choices. True or out. Shove past her as you storm off. Go into a deep depression because you feel so bad about her leaving you out. Decide that she's a two-faced liar and give her the silent treatment. Get out of your way to exclude her. After all, she did it to you. Proactive choices. Forgive her and give her a second chance. Confront her and share how you feel that she lied to you. Realize that she has weaknesses just like you, and occasionally you don't include her in things without really meaning any harm. Scene 2. You've been working at your retail job for a while now and have been completely committed and dependable. Recently, a new employee joined the crew and he gets the coveted Saturday afternoon shift, the shift you were hoping for. Reactive choices. Spend half your waking hours complaining to everyone and their dog about how unfair this decision was. Scrutinize the new employee and find his every weakness. Text your boss messages asking why he doesn't like you. Begin to slack off while working your shift. Proactive choices. Talk with your supervisor about why the new employee got the better shift, or if you and he can alternate. Continue to be a hard-working employee so you get the next promotion. Learn what you can do to improve your performance. If you determine you're in a dead-end job, begin looking for a new one. Listen to your language. You can usually tell the difference between proactive and reactive people by the language they use. Reactive language usually sounds like this. That's me. That's just the way I am. What they're really saying is, I'm not responsible for the way I act. I can't change. I was predetermined to be this way. If my Chem teacher wasn't such a jerk, things would be different. What they're really saying is, school is the cause of all my problems, not me. Thanks a lot, you ruined my day. What they're really saying is, I'm not in control of my moods, you are. If only I went to a different school, had better friends, had cooler parents, had a boyfriend, then I'd be happy. What they're really saying is, I'm not in control of my own happiness. Things are. I must have things to be happy. Notice that reactive language takes power away from you and gives it to someone or something else. As my friend John Bythaway explained in his books, What I Wish I'd Known in High School. When you're reactive, it's like giving someone else the remote control to your life and saying, Here, change my mood anytime you wish. Proactive language, on the other hand, puts the remote control back into your own hands. You're free to choose which channel you want to be on. Reactive language, I'll try. Proactive language, I'll do it. Reactive language, that's just the way I am. Proactive language, I can do better than that. Reactive language, there's nothing I can do. Proactive language, let's look at all our options. Reactive language, I have to. Proactive language, I choose to. Reactive language, I can't. Proactive language, there's gotta be a way. Reactive language, you've ruined my day. Proactive language, I'm not going to let your bad mood rub off on me. The victimitis virus. Some people suffer from a contagious virus I call victimitis. Perhaps you've seen it. People infected with victimitis believe that everyone has it in for them and that the world owes them something, which isn't the case at all. I like the way author Mark Twain put it. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It got here first. I played college football with a guy who had a bad case of victimitis. His comments drove me crazy. I would be starting, but the coaches have something against me. I was about to intercept the ball, but someone cut me off. I would have got a better 40-yard dash time, but my shoes came loose. Yeah, right. I always felt like saying, and I'd be president if my dad weren't bald. To me, it was obvious why he never played. In his mind, the problem was always out there. He never considered that perhaps his attitude was the problem. Adriana, an honor student from Chicago, grew up in a home where feeling victimized caused a lot of tension. I'm black and proud of it. Color has not stood in my way, and I learned so much from white and black teachers and counselors alike. But in my family, it's a different thing. My mother, who still dominates the family, is 50 years old, comes from the South, and still acts though as slavery was just abolished. She sees my doing good in school as a threat, as if I'm joining the white folks. She still uses language like, the man is keeping us from doing this and that. He is keeping us boxed up and won't let us do anything. I always rebut with, no man is keeping you from doing anything. Only yourself, because you keep thinking the way you think. Even my boyfriend falls into the white man is holding me back attitude. When he was recently trying to purchase a car and sale didn't go through, he remarked with frustration, the white man doesn't want us to get anything. I almost lost it and confronted him with how silly that kind of thinking was, but it only resulted in him feeling that I was taking the side of the white man. I remain convinced that the only person who can hold you back is yourself. Besides feeling like victims, reactive people are easily offended, blame others, get angry and say things that they later regret, criticize and complain, wait for things to happen to them, change only when they have to. It pays to be proactive. Proactive people are a different breed. Proactive people can brush things off without getting offended, take responsibility for their choices, think before they act, bounce back when something bad happens, always find a way to move forward, focus on things they can't do something about, and don't worry about things they can't. I remember starting a new job and working with a guy named Randy. I don't know what his problem was, but for some reason he didn't like me. All he wanted me to know it. He'd say rude things to me daily. I mean, like all the time. Once I returned from a vacation and a friend told me, boy, see, if you only knew what Randy has been saying about you, you better watch your back. Having a nemesis is a drag. There were times I wanted to pound the guy, but I somehow managed to keep my cool and ignore him. Whenever he insulted me, I made it a personal challenge to treat him well in return. I had faith that things would work out in the end if I acted this way. In a matter of few months, things began to change. Randy could see that I wasn't going to play his game and began to lighten up. He even told me one time, I've tried to offend you, but you wouldn't take offense. After being in that company for about a year, we became friends and gained respect for each other. Had I reacted to his attacks, which was my gut instincts, I'm certain we wouldn't be friends today. I'm also certain that at least one of us would have wound up missing a few teeth. Often, all it takes is one person to create a friendship. Mary Beth discovered for herself the benefits of being proactive. I'd taken a class at school where we talk about proactivity, and I'd wondered about how to really apply it. One day, as I was checking groceries for a guy, he suddenly told me that the groceries I had just rung up weren't his. My first reaction was to say, "You idiot," then put the bar down somewhere between the other customers' groceries. Why didn't you stop me sooner? So I have to delete it all and call to get the changes approved by a supervisor while he just stands there and thinks it's funny. Meanwhile, the air is rising and I'm getting real irritated. To top it off, he then has the nerve to question the price I charged him for the broccoli. To my horror, I discovered that he was right. I had put the wrong code numbers in the register for the broccoli. Now I was extra irritated and so tempted to lash out at him to cover for my own mistake. But then this idea popped into my mind. Be proactive. So I said, "You're right, sir. It's completely my fault. I'll correct the pricing. It'll just take a couple of seconds." I also remembered that being proactive doesn't mean you're a doormat. So I reminded him nicely that to avoid this kind of thing in the future, he would need to always put the bar down that separates orders. I felt so good. I had apologized, but I also had said what I wanted to say. It was such a simple little thing, but it gave me so much inner conversion and confidence in this habit. At this point, you're probably ready to shoot me and say, "Now, come on, Scene, it's not that easy." I won't argue with you. Being reactive is way, way easier. It's easy to lose your cool. That doesn't take any control, and it's easy to whine and complain. Without question, though, being proactive is a higher road and one that will take you much farther in the not so long run. But remember, you don't have to be perfect. In reality, you and I are either completely proactive or reactive, but probably somewhere in between. The key then is to get in the habit of being proactive so you can run on autopilot and not even have to think about it. If you're choosing to be proactive 20 out of 100 times every day, try doing it 30 out of 100 times. Now 40. Never underestimate the huge differences small changes can make. We can only control one thing. The fact is, we can't control everything that happens to us. We can't control where our ancestors come from, who will win the Super Bowl, how much tuition will be next fall, or how others might treat us. But there is one thing we can control: how we respond to what happens to us. And that is what counts. This is why we need to stop worrying about things we can't control and start worrying about things we can. Picture two circles. The inner circle is our circle of control. It includes things we have control over: ourselves, our attitudes, our choices, our responses to whatever happened to us. Surrounding the circle of control is the circle of no control. It includes thousands of things we can't do anything about. Now, what will happen if we spend our time, energy worrying about things we can't control, like rude comment, past mistake, or the fact that it's raining on a good hair day? You guessed it, we'll feel it more out of control, as if we were victims. For instance, if your sister annoys you and you're always complaining about her weaknesses, something that you have control over, that won't do anything to fix the problem. It'll only cause you to blame your problems on her and lose power yourself. Ignore the rude comment and avoid making the mistake next time, and get an umbrella for the rain. You are the star of your own life. Focus on what you can influence. This is the circle, two circles. Here. Renata told me a story that illustrates this point. A week before her upcoming volleyball game, she learned that the mother of a player on the opposing team had made fun of Renata's volleyball skills. Instead of ignoring the comments, Renata became very angry and spent the rest of the week stewing. When the game arrived, her only goal was to prove to this woman that she was a good player. To make a long story short, Renata played poorly, spent much of her time on the bench, and her team lost the game. She was so focused on something she couldn't control, which is a stranger's opinion of her, that she lost control of the only thing she could control, herself. Proactive people, on the other hand, focus elsewhere, on the things they can control. By doing so, they experience inner peace and are primed for whatever comes their way. They learn to live with many things they can't do anything about, even to smile and laugh about them. They may not like them, but they know it's no use worrying. Turning setbacks into triumphs. Life often deals us a bad hand, but it's up to you to think to yourself, I've got this. I can get through it. By the way, think of how boring you'd be if nothing challenging ever happened to you. You never learn, and then you never change. Every setback is an opportunity for us to turn into a triumph, as this account by Bradley Lemley from Parade magazine illustrates. It's not what happens to you in life, it's what you do about it, says W. Mitchell, a self-made millionaire, a sought-after speaker, a former mayor, a river rafter, and a skydiver. And he accomplished all this after his accidents. If you saw Mitchell, you'd find this hard to believe. You see, this guy's face is a patchwork of multicolored skin grafts. The fingers of both his hands are either missing or mere stubs, and his paralyzed legs thin and useless under his slacks. Mitchell says sometimes people try to guess how he was injured. A car wreck? Vietnam? The real story is more astounding than one could ever imagine. On June 19, 1971, he was on top of the world, young, healthy, and popular. The day before, he had bought a beautiful new motorcycle. That morning, he soloed in an airplane for the first time. That afternoon, I got on that motorcycle to ride to work, he recalls. And at an intersection, a laundry truck and I collided. The bike went down, crushed my elbow, and fractured my pelvis. And the gas can popped open on the motorcycle. The gas poured out, the heat of the engine ignited it, and I got burned over 65% of my body. Fortunately, a quick-thinking man in a nearby car lot doused Mitchell with a fire extinguisher and saved his life. Even so, Mitchell's face had been burned off. His fingers were black, charred, twisted, and his legs were nothing but raw red flesh. It was common for first-time visitors to look at him and faint. He was unconscious for 2 weeks and then he awakened. Over 4 months, he had 13 transfusions, 16 skin graft operations, and several other surgeries. 4 years later, after spending months in rehabilitation and years learning to adapt to his new handicaps, the unthinkable happened. Mitchell was involved in a freak airplane crash and was paralyzed from the waist down. When I tell people there were 2 separate accidents, he said, they can hardly stand it. After his paralyzing plane crash accident, Mitchell recalls meeting a 19-year-old patient in the hospital gymnasium. This guy had also been paralyzed. He had been a mountain climber, a skier, an active outdoors person, and he was convinced his life was over. Finally, I went over to this guy and said, you know something? Before all this happened to me, there were 10,000 things I could do. Now, there are 9,000. I could spend the rest of my life dwelling on the 1,000 that I lost, or focusing on the 9,000 that are left. Mitchell says the secret is twofold. First is the love and encouragement of friends and family, and second is personal philosophy he has gleaned from various sources. He realized he did not have to buy his society notion that one must be handsome and healthy to be happy. I am in charge of my own spaceship, he states empathetically. It is my up, my down. I could choose to see this situation as a setback or starting point. I like how Helen Keller put it. So much has been given to me. I have no time to ponder that which has been denied. Although most of our setbacks won't be as severe as Mitchell's, all of us will have our fair share. You might get dumped, you may lose an election at school, you may get beaten up, you may not get accepted to the school of your choice, and you may become seriously ill. I hope and believe that you will be proactive and strong in these defining moments. I remember a major setback of my own. 2 years after I had become the starting quarterback in my college, I seriously injured my knee, had surgery, fell behind, and subsequently lost my position. Coach called me into his office just before the season began and told me they were handing the starting job to someone else. I felt sick. I worked my whole life to get this position. It was my senior year. This wasn't supposed to happen. As a backup, I had a choice to make. I could complain, badmouth the new guy, or feel sorry for myself. Or I could make the most of the situation. Luckily, I decided to deal with it. I was no longer throwing touchdowns, but I could help in other ways. So I swallowed my pride and kept supporting the team, working hard and preparing for each game as if I was a starter. I chose to keep my chin up. Was it easy? Not at all. I felt like a failure. Sitting out every game after being the starter was humiliating. Keeping a good attitude was a constant struggle. Was it the right choice though? Definitely. I wore out my bum on the bench all year, but I contributed to the team in other ways by supporting the new guy, helping to prepare our defense each week for the opposing team's offense. Most important, I took responsibility for my attitude. I cannot begin to tell you what a positive difference this singular decision made in my life. Rising above abuse. One of the most intense and difficult setbacks of all is coping with abuse. I'll never forget the morning I spent with a group of teens, mostly young women, but also some young men who had been sexually abused as children, were victims of date rape, or were otherwise abused emotionally or physically. Heather told me this story. I was sexually abused at 14. It happened when I was at a fair. A boy from school came up to me and said, "I really need to talk to you. Come with me for a few minutes." I never suspected anything because this kid was my friend and had always been really nice to me. He took me on a long walk, and we ended up at the dugouts at the high school. That was where he raped me. He kept telling me, "If you tell anyone, no one will believe you. You wanted this to happen to you anyway." He also told me that my parents would be so ashamed of me. I kept quiet about it for 2 years. Finally, I was attending a help session where people who were abused told their stories, and this one girl got up and told a story similar to mine. When she said the name of the boy that abused her, I started to cry because it was the same one who had raped me. It turned out that there were 6 of us who were victimized by him. Fortunately, Heather is now on the road to recovery and has found tremendous strength in being part of a teen group that is trying to help other abuse victims. By coming forward, she has put a stop to more girls getting attacked by the same boy. That is a proactive and powerful act. Bridget's story, unfortunately, is very common. At the age of 5, I was sexually abused by a family member. Too afraid to tell anyone, I tried to bury my hurt and anger. Now that I have come to terms with what happened, I look back on my life and see how it has affected everything. In trying to hide something terrible, I ended up hiding myself. It wasn't until 13 years later that I finally confronted my childhood nightmare. Many people have been through the same experience as I have or something that is related. Most hide it. Why? Some are afraid for their lives. Others want to protect themselves or someone else. But whatever the reason, hiding it isn't the answer. It only leaves a cut so deep in the soul that it seems there is no way of healing it. Confronting it is the only way to sew up that bleeding gash. Find someone to talk to, someone you feel comfortable with, someone you can trust. It is a long and difficult process, but once you come to terms with it, it's only then that you can start to live. If you've been abused, it's never your fault, and the truth has been told. Abuse thrives in secrecy. By telling another person, you immediately lighten the load you carry. Talk with a loved one or friend you can trust. Go to sexual abuse support meetings or visit a professional therapist. If the person you share your trouble with isn't receptive, don't give up. Keep sharing until you find someone who is. Sharing your secret with another is an important step in the healing process. Take the initiative to do it. You don't need to live with this burden for one day longer. Please refer to the abuse hotlines listed at the back of the book for help of information. Becoming a change agent. I once asked a group of teenagers, "Who are your role models?" One girl mentioned her mother. Another kid talked about his brother. One guy was noticeably silent. I asked him whom he admired. He said quietly, "I don't have a role model." All he wanted to do was make sure he didn't turn out like the people who should have been his role models. Unfortunately, this is the case with many teens. They come from messed up families and may not have anyone to pattern their lives after. The scary thing is that bad habits such as abuse, alcoholism, and welfare dependency are often passed down from parents to kids, and as a result, dysfunctional families keep repeating themselves. Sometimes these problems go back for generations. You may come from a long line of drug abusers. You may come from a long line of dependency on welfare. Perhaps no one in your family has ever graduated from college or even high school. The good news is that you can stop the cycle because you are proactive. You can stop these bad habits and circumstances from being passed on. You can become a change agent and pass on good habits to future generations, starting with your own kids. A tenacious girl named Hilda shared with me how she has become her family's change agent. Education wasn't a priority in her home. There were too many other things to worry about, says Hilda. My mom worked in a sewing factory for very little money, and my father worked for a slightly over minimum wage. I would hear them arguing over the money and how they were going to pay the rent. The highest grade my parents went into in school was 6th grade. As a young girl, Hilda vividly remembered her dad being unable to help her with her homework because he couldn't read English. This was hard on her, and she could see the consequences of a lack of education. When Hilda was in junior high, her family moved from California back to Mexico. Hilda soon realized that there were limited educational options for her there. So she asked if she could move back to the States to live with her aunt. For the next several years, Hilda made great sacrifices to stay in school. It was hard to be crowded in a room with my cousin, she says, and have to share a bed and work to pay them rent as well to go to school, but it was worth it. Even though I had a kid and got married in high school, I kept going to school and my dad to prove my dad no matter what, he was wrong when he said that no one in my family could become a professional. Hilda will soon be graduating with a university degree in finance. She wants her educational values to be passed on to her kids. Today, every time I can, when I'm not in school, I sit on the sofa and read to my son. I am teaching him how to speak English and Spanish. I'm trying to save money for his education. One day he will need help with his homework, and I'll be there for him. I interviewed another 16-year-old named Shane from the Midwest who was also becoming a change agent in his family. Shane lives with his parents and two siblings in the projects, a low-income section of town. Although his parents are still together, they're constantly fighting and accusing each other of having affairs. His dad drives a truck and never is home. His mom smokes weed with his 12-year-old sister. His older brother failed 2 years of high school and finally dropped out. At one point, Shane had lost hope. Just when he hit rock bottom, he got involved in a character development class at school that taught the 7 habits, and he began to see that there were things he could do to seize control of his life and create a future for himself. Fortunately, Shane's grandfather owned the upstairs apartment where Shane lived, so Shane paid him $100 a month's rent, and he moved back to that apartment. He now has his own sanctuary and is able to block out everything he doesn't want to be part of on the floor below. Says Shane, things have gotten better now. I treat myself much better and show myself respect. My family doesn't have much respect for themselves. Although nobody in my family has ever gone to college, I have been accepted to 3 different universities. Everything I do now is for my future. My future is going to be different. I know I won't sit down with my 12-year-old daughter and smoke weed. You have the power within you to rise above whatever may have been passed down to you. You may not have the option of moving upstairs to escape from it all as Shane did, but you can figuratively move upstairs in your mind. No matter how bad your predicament is, you can become a change agent and create a new life for yourself and whatever you may follow. Growing your proactive muscles. The following poem is a great summary of what it means to take responsibility for one's life and how a person can gradually move from reactive to a proactive frame of mind. Autobiography in 5 short chapters from There's a Hole in My Sidewalk by Portia Nelson. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I still see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk down another street. You too can take responsibility for your life and stay away from those potholes by flexing your proactive muscles. It is a breakthrough habit. It'll save you more often than you can imagine. Can do. Be proactive really means 2 things. First, you take responsibility for your life. Second, you have a can-do attitude. Can-do is very different from no can-do. Just take a peek. Can-do people take initiative to make it happen. No can-do people wait for something to happen to them. Can-do people think about solutions and options. No can-do people think about problems and barriers. Can-do people act. No can-do people are acted upon. If you think can-do and you're creative and persistent, it's amazing what you can accomplish. During college, I remember being told that to fulfill my language requirement, I would have to take a class that I had no interest in and was meaningless to me. Instead of taking this class, however, I decided to create my own. I put together a list of books I would read and the assignments I would do and found a teacher to sponsor me. I went to the dean of the school and presented my case. He bought into my idea and I completed my language requirement by taking my self-built course. American aviator Eleanor Smith once said, "It has long since come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sat back and let things happen to them. They went out and happened to things." It's so true. To reach your goals in life, you must seize the initiative. If you're feeling bad about not being asked out on dates, don't just sit around and sulk. Do something about it. Find ways to meet people. Be friendly and try smiling a lot. Ask them out. They may not know how great you are. Don't wait for the perfect job to fall in your lap. Go after it. Be bold. Send out your resume. Network with people you admire. Gain experience by volunteering to work for free. If you're at a store and need assistance, don't wait for the salesperson to find you. You find them. Some people mistake can-do for being pushy, aggressive, or obnoxious. Wrong. Can-do is courageous, persistent, and smart. Others think can-do people stretch the rules and make their own laws. Not so. Can-do thinkers are creative, enterprising, and extremely resourceful. Pia, a friend of mine, shared the following story. It took place a long time ago, but the principle of can-do is the same. I was a young journalist in a big city in Europe, working full-time as a reporter for the United Press International. I was inexperienced and always nervous that I wouldn't be able to live up to the expectations of a tough and much older male press crew. The Beatles were coming to town, and to my amazement, I was appointed to cover their stay. My editor didn't know how big they were, and they were the hottest thing in Europe in those days. Girls fainted by the hundreds just by their presence, and here I was going to cover their press conference. But a press conference was exciting and I was elated to be there, but I realized that everyone would have the same story. I needed something more, something meaty, something that would really make the front page. One by one, all the experienced reporters went back to their papers to report and the Beatles went up to their rooms. I stayed behind. I've got to figure out a way to get these guys, I thought, and there's no time to lose. I walked up to the hotel lobby, picked up the house phone, and I dialed the penthouse. I guess they would be staying there. The manager answered, "This is Pia Jensen from..." The manager answered, "This is Pia Jensen from the United States International. I would like to come talk to the Beatles." I said confidently, "What did I have to lose?" To my amazement, he said, "Come on up." Trembling and feeling like I had hit the jackpot, I entered the elevator and went up to the royal suites of a hotel. I was led into an area as big as an entire floor. And here they all sat, Ringo, Paul, John, and George. I gulped down my nervousness and inexperience and tried to act like a world-class reporter. I spent the next 2 hours laughing, listening, talking, writing, having the best time of my life. They treated me royally and gave me all the attention in the world. My story was splashed on the front page of the leading newspaper in the country next morning, and my more extended interviews with each of the Beatles appeared as a feature in most of the newspapers of the world within the next few days. When the Rolling Stones came to town after that, guess who they stepped? Me, a young female inexperienced reporter. I used the same approach with them and it worked again. I soon realized what I could accomplish by being presently persistent. A pattern was set in my mind, and I was convinced anything was possible. With this approach, I usually got the best stories, and my news career took on new dimension. George Bernard Shaw, the English playwright, knew all about can-do. Listen to how he said it. People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them. Pay attention to how Denise was able to create the circumstances she wanted. I know it's strange for a teenager to want to work in a library, but I really wanted that job, more than I had ever wanted anything. But they weren't really hiring. I would just go to the library every day and read, hang out with my friends, and just get away from home. What better place to work than some place I already hung out at? Although I didn't have a job there, I got to know the office staff, and I volunteered for special events. Pretty soon, I was one of their regulars. It paid off. When they finally had an opening, I was their first choice, and I found best job ever had. Just push pause. So when someone is rude to you, where do you get the power to resist it being rude back? For starters, just push pause. Yup, just reach up and push the pause button to your life just as you would on a remote control. If I remember right, the pause button is somewhere located in the middle of your forehead. Sometimes life is moving so fast that we instantly react to everything out of sheer habit. If you can learn to pause, get control, and think about how you want to respond, you'll make smarter decisions. Yes, your childhood, your parents, your genes, and your environment influence you to act in certain ways, but they can't make you do anything. Your life is not predetermined, and you are free to choose. While your life is on pause, open up your toolbox, the one that you were born with, and use your 4 human tools to help you decide what to do. Animals don't have these tools. That's why you're smarter than your pet. These tools are self-awareness, conscience, imagination, and willpower. You might want to call them your power tools. Self-awareness. I can stand apart from myself and observe my thoughts and actions. Conscience. I can listen to my inner voice to know right from wrong. Imagination. I can envision new possibilities. Willpower. I have the power to choose. Let's illustrate these tools by imagining a teen named Rosa and her dog Wolf as they go outside for a walk. Here, boy, let's go outside, says Rosa as Whoop leaps up and down, wagging his tail. It has been a rough week for Rosa. Not only has she just broken up with her boyfriend, Eric, but she and her mom are barely speaking terms. As she strolls down the sidewalk, Rosa begins thinking about her past week. You know what? She muses to herself. Breaking up with Eric has really been tough on me. It's probably why I've been so rude to my mom and taking out all my frustrations on her. You see what Rosa's doing? She's standing apart from herself and evaluating and measuring her actions. This process is called self-awareness. It's a tool that is native to all humanoids. By using self-awareness, Rosa is able to recognize that she's allowed her breakup with Eric to affect her relationship with her mom. This observation is the first step to changing the way she has been treating her mother. Meanwhile, Wolf sees a cat up ahead and instinctively takes off in a frenzy after it. Although Wolf is a loyal dog, he is completely unaware of himself. He doesn't even know that he is a dog. He is incapable of standing apart from himself and saying, "You know what? Ever since Susie, his dog friend next door, moved away, I've been taking out all my anger on all the neighborhood cats." As she continues her stroll, Rosa's thoughts begin to wander. She can hardly wait for the school concert tomorrow, when she will be performing a solo. Music is her life. Rosa imagines herself singing at the concert. She sees herself dazzling the audience, then bowing to receive a rousing standing ovation from all of her friends and teachers, and, of course, the cute guys. In this scene, Rosa is using another one of her human tools, imagination. It is a remarkable gift. It allows us to escape our present circumstances and create new possibilities in our heads. It gives us a chance to visualize our futures and dream up what we would like to become. While Rosa is imagining her visions at grandeur, Wolf is busily digging up the earth trying to get at a worm. Wolf's imagination is about as alive as a rock. Zilch. He can't even think beyond the moment. He can't envision new possibilities. Can you imagine Wolf thinking, "Someday I'm going to have my own dream doghouse with a revolving bay door and a large bay window"? Suddenly, Rosa feels a vibration in her pocket. She gets a text from her new friend Taylor. "Hi, what you doing?" "Hey, taking Wolf for a walk," replies Rosa. Just then she gets another message. "I heard about what happened with you and Eric. Major bummer." Rosa is bothered by Taylor's reference to Eric. It's none of her business. Although she is tempted to be curt with Taylor, she knows Taylor's just trying to get to know her better. It doesn't mean any harm. Rosa feels that being warm and friendly is the right thing to do. Yeah, breaking up's rough. Anyway, what's up with you? Rosa has just used her human tool called conscience. Conscience is an inner voice that will teach us the right from wrong. Each of us has a conscience, and it will either grow or shrink depending on whether or not we follow its cues. Meanwhile, Wolf is relieving himself on Mr. Newman's newly painted white picket fence. Wolf has absolutely no normal sense of right or wrong. After all, he is just a dog, and dogs will do whatever their instincts compel them to do. Rosa's walk with Wolf comes to an end. As she opens the front door to her house, she hears her mom yell from the other room, "Rosa, where have you been? I've called you a dozen times." Rosa has already made up her mind to not lose her cool with her mom. So, despite wanting to yell back, "Get out of my face!" she responds calmly, "Just out for a walk with the dog, Mom." "Woof woof, come back here!" screams Rosa as Wolf darts out the open door to chase the mailman. While Rosa is using her fourth human tool of willpower to control her anger, Wolf, who has been told not to chase the mailman, is overcome by his instincts. Willpower is the power to act. It says that we have the power to choose, the power over our emotions, and to overcome our habits and instincts. As you can see in the example above, we either use or fail to use our four human tools every day of our lives. The more we use them, the stronger they become, and the more power we have to be proactive. However, if we fail to use them, we tend to react by instinct like dog and not act by choice like human. Human tools in action. Dermel Reed once told me how his proactive response to his family crisis changed his life forever. Dermel was raised in one of East Oakland's roughest neighborhoods, the fourth in a family of 7 kids. No one in the Reed family has ever graduated from high school before, and Dermel wasn't about to be the first. He was unsure about his future. His family was struggling. His street was filled with gangs and drug dealers. Could he ever get out? And while in his house on a still summer night before senior years, Doorbell Hill heard a series of gunshots. It's an everyday thing to hear gunshots, and I didn't pay it no mind. Suddenly, one of his friends, who had been shot on the leg, burst through the door and began hollering that Doorbell's little brother Kevin had just been shot and killed in a drive-by shooting. I was upset and angry, and I was hurt that I lost someone I ain't ever gonna see again in my life. Dermel told me he was only 13 years old, and he was shot over a petty little street scuffle. I can't explain how life went after that. It was just pretty downhill for the whole family. Dermel's knee-jerk reaction was to kill the murderer. It felt like the only real way he could pay back his dead brother. The police were still trying to figure out who did it, but Dermel knew. On a muggy August night, a few weeks before Kevin's death, Dermel got hold of a .38 caliber revolver and went out in the streets to get revenge on Tony Fat Tone Davis, the crack dealer who had killed his brother. It was dark. Davis and his friends couldn't see me. There he was, sitting, talking, laughing, having fun, and here I am. Within 50 feet of him, crouched but behind a car with a loaded gun. I was sitting there thinking, I could just pull this little trigger and kill the guy who killed my brother. Big decision. At this point, Dermel pushed pause and caught a hold of himself. Using his imagination, he thought about his past and future. I thought about my life in a matter of seconds. I weighed my options. I weighed the chances of me escaping, not getting caught, the police trying to figure out who I was. I thought about the time Kevin would come watch me play football. He always told me I was going to be a pro football player. I thought about my future, about going into college, about what I wanted to make of my life. Pausing, Dermel listened to his conscience. I'm holding a gun. I'm shaking, and I think the good side of me told me to get up and go home and go to school. If I took my revenge, I'd be throwing away my future. I'd be no better than the guy who shot my brother. Using raw willpower, Dermel, instead of giving into his anger and throwing away his life, he got up, walked home, and vowed to finish college for his beloved dead brother. 9 months later, Dermel had made the honor roll and was graduating from high school. People in his school couldn't believe it. 5 years later, he'd become a college football star and college graduate, the first in his family. Like Dermel, each of us will face an extraordinary challenge or two along the way, and we can choose whether to rise to those challenges or to be conquered by them. Elaine Maxwell summed up the entire matter quite well. Whether I fail or succeed shall be no man's doing but my own. I am the force. I can clear any obstacle before me, or I can be lost in the maze. My choice, my responsibility. Win or lose, only I hold the key to my destiny. It's kind of like the old Volkswagen commercials. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. Drivers wanted! So let me ask you, are you in the driver's seat of your life, or are you simply merely a passenger? Are you conducting a symphony or simply being played? Are you acting like a can of soda pop or a bottle of water? After that, all that's been said and done, the choice is yours. Coming attractions. In the chapter that follows, I'll take you on a ride you'll never forget called The Great Discovery. Come along, it's a thrill a minute. Baby steps. The next time someone flips you off, give them the peace sign back. Listen carefully to your words today. Count how many times you use reactive language, such as, you make me, I have to, why can't they, I can't. Reactive language I use most. Number 3, do something that you have wanted to do but never dared. Leave your comfort zone and go for it. Ask someone out on a date, raise your hand in class, or join a team. What's the worst that could happen? If you don't make it or get rejected, so what? It's better not trying at all. Leave yourself a message in your phone or on a post-it that says, I will not let blank decide how I'm going to feel. Refer to it often. At the next party, don't just sit against the wall and wait for excitement to find you. You find it. Walk up and introduce yourself to someone new. The next time you receive a grade that you think is unfair, don't blow it off or cry about it. Make an appointment with your teacher to discuss it and see what you can learn. If you get in a fight with a parent or a friend, make amends to be the first to apologize. Number 8, identify something in your circle of no control that you are always worrying about. Decide now to drop it. Thing that I can't control that I always worry about. If someone sends you a mean or rude text, push the pause button. Do not respond when you're angry. Do not push send. Cool down first, then decide how best to handle it. Number 10. Use your tool of self-awareness right now by asking yourself, what is my most unhealthy habit? Make up your mind and to do something about it. Most unhealthy habit. What I'm going to do about it. Did you understand habit 1? Be proactive. Are you proactive? Do you feel like you're proactive? Do you want to be a change agent in your family? Think about this. If you need help with being proactive, you can always come back to this video and use this to help. Remember, you also have your tools, your power tools that you were born with. Are you a can of soda or are you a bottle of water? Will you react or be cooled down? Remember, you will always be good if you are always proactive, and you can always improve by doing things. If someone makes you mad, don't. Just cool down and ask them why they made you mad. Just like the baby steps. At every end of the chapter, I will give you a few questions to think about. And then you have these questions to help you with understanding the habit, which is in this case, habit 1. Be proactive. I am the force. The next habit is the habit called begin with end in mind. Control your own destiny, or someone else will. I hope please like and subscribe. And next time, I'll see you with habit 2. Begin with end in mind. Don't forget to do the baby steps and the questions I did. And if you need any help and if you're struggling with understanding this chapter, you can always come back to this video and listen to it again and again. That way, you'll memorize it better. See you next time. Don't forget to hit the bell, subscribe, and